Hello, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to today's webinar for Legend Real Estate Trust. My name is Amanda. I'm one of the co-founders at Legend, and today we've got a very exciting webinar that we're going to talk about goals from 2024, looking forward into 2025, discuss what sets Legend Real Estate Trust apart, and then, of course, talk about some next steps and an open Q&A session. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get started into today's presentation. Okay, excellent. So just a reminder to everybody that we do have the chat feature open. If you would like to ask questions as we go through today's presentation, please go ahead, help yourself. You can use the Q&A feature as well. I will take some pauses and pop into the chat and make sure that it's a little bit more interactive today during our webinar. Okay. So I think we are set to go ahead and get started. So Legend Real Estate Trust, we are a REIT and we are focused on acquiring multifamily properties all across Canada, primarily focusing on buy and hold strategy with turnkey properties is what we're mainly focused on. So in today's webinar, we're going to focus on your goals from 2024. We're going to look forward into 2025. It's just around the corner. Talk about why would you invest in real estate? I'll share why I invest into real estate. What sets Legend apart in the market? We'll go through a Legend Real Estate Trust overview. We'll talk about next steps if you want to get involved and, of course, have open Q&A format. But all throughout the presentation, please go ahead and use the chat and let me know if you have any questions along the way. So our first part, 2024. Let's talk about our goals in 2024. It is December 12th. We've got a couple more weeks left in the year. Presumably, we have investors who are in the room participating in our webinar today. Did you set goals for 2024? And how did you do with your investing goals? So go ahead and pop into the chat. Let me know, was there a goal that you set for 2024 that you managed to achieve this year? Was there a goal that you set and maybe you had some difficulty achieving for this year, something that maybe you're still working on? So I would love to hear from you guys about what you did or maybe did not achieve this year from an overall goal perspective. And I'll share with you guys a little bit about me just to get us started here. So one of my goals was to make sure that I was spending lots of dedicated time with my son. I'm a mom of a 3.5-year-old, but also a business owner, a wife, a sister, a daughter. I'm a lot of things to a lot of people. But with my little guy, I wanted to make sure that we spent dedicated time together. And I feel like this is something that I did very well this year by being more intentional with him, carving out specific time where, my phone is out of sight, out of reach, and we would just go through different activities. Even just a couple days ago, we bought like a big boy Lego, as he would say, and we built a really fun spaceship together. So making sure that I disconnect from work is something that's been really important to me because I'm a business owner. I left my 9 to 5 to go ahead and work 24/7. So I wanted to make sure that I really spend that time with my son while he's little, and it's good for him and it's good for me. And it just overall makes life better just to slow down and pause. But I want to hear from you guys about what are your goals, what worked, or maybe what are you still working on? So, just because 2024 is over doesn't mean, oh, you just throw that goal out the window. So Mike, amazing. So your chat just went to host and panelists, but I'm going to share it with the group anyways. So Mike bought a house with his wife that has an Airbnb opportunity and sectioning off that part of the house and renovating for the next 3 months. This is amazing. Congratulations, Mike. Purchasing real estate and buying a house is not an easy feat. I mean, you need to locate your market, go through negotiations, find an actual property that you're interested in, the type of property that you can do an Airbnb, and now you've presumably closed on it by this time. And you're looking forward to 3 months of renovations. So thank you for sharing that, Mike. That's very exciting. Big congrats. And I would love to hear how that's going for you as well. Airbnb is a big strategy that a lot of people are doing these days successfully. Anybody else want to share a goal from 2024, something that you achieved, or maybe something you're having a hard time with? You guys are going to be shy on me. Okay, no problem. So if you feel like sharing, please just go ahead and pop it into the chat and we'll come back to it. Okay, oops, what did I hit there? Wrong button. There we go. Okay, so looking forward to 2025. So goal setting is something that's very important to me. This is probably going back to some of my earlier career. I used to work in the fitness industry and I would do fitness coaching with a lot of my clients. So goal setting is so extremely important if you're looking to achieve big things in your life and actually move that needle and actually make some changes for yourself. So these are a couple of tips that I want to share with you about goal setting and looking forward into 2025. First of which is looking back on last year's successes. So although you guys were shy in the chat there, I'm sure you do have some successes that you can reflect on in your own life and say like, wow, like actually I did a really good job with X, Y, and Z. And then of course, to go through some of the challenges. What did you have a hard time with last year? And then, of course, to identify some of those items that stood in your way and say, okay, well, I was having a hard time because these particular challenges have come up. And then how can you overcome those obstacles that popped up, and to have more of a plan in place so that you're not just going at it without a plan. I really like to break my goals into quarterly achievements. So if we're looking at the year, you might think, oh, I'm putting off my goals because I have a whole year to work on it. But if you actually break the year into quarterly segments, then you can check in with yourself and say, how am I actually doing? Am I getting closer to my goals? What do I need to celebrate, or what adjustments do I actually need to make? And then most importantly, above all else, is to put your goals where you can see them daily. So in my bedroom, I have a big whiteboard where I write out all my goals. It's something that I look at every single day. It's something that I track every single day and has been super helpful to me. And then in our kitchen, Marty and I have a humongous whiteboard. It's ugly. It doesn't look in line with any kind of decor or anything like that. But this is where we track and record our goals, and we can share how we're doing with each other. So the visibility of these elements of our life have been extremely helpful for us and have helped us to achieve some pretty good goals within real estate investing and just, overall things that we're working on as individuals. Now, the reasons why I set these goals and really try and stay focused on real estate investing is these reasons here that are on the screen. So as I mentioned, we've got a 3-year-old son. Our whole life centers around this little man. And we absolutely love having the freedom that real estate has provided for us and the financial stability that real estate has provided so that we can spend so much time going hiking with our little guy. We like to take him fishing. Marty and I really like to do patio hopping. That's something big to us. Home renovations. Marty's a carpenter by trade, so having that flexibility to be able to improve our home where we live is something very important to us. And around this time last year, we went and saw our favorite band, Tool, front row seats, and that was funded through our real estate activities. But more importantly, what the biggest goal that we achieved is actually in the bottom corner. There's a picture of me, Marty, and Monty with a forest behind us. And we have acquired our dreamland, our dream property. So everything we've been working for in our real estate career up until this point is really coming true. So we bought our dreamland where we're going to build our forever home. And this, of course, has been made possible through real estate investing. And one of the biggest reasons why we have launched Legend Real Estate Trust is because we want to share that with more investors, and we want to help other people achieve that financial freedom so that they can be doing more of the things that they really love and spend more time focusing on their why. And to have these pieces clearly laid out are extremely important, because when the going gets tough and it's really hard, then just looking back onto the things and the reasons why you want to invest can really help you to get going. So, I ask you guys, what is your why? What are some reasons why you would want to invest in real estate? So, let's see in the chat here. Again, I do want to hear from you guys. So, don't be shy. Let me know, what are some of the reasons why you want to invest? I know that money is the obvious one, but what is it that the money actually buys you? Do we have people who want to travel in the room? Yes. Okay, amazing. For Mike, he's looking for retirement. I would assume an earlier retirement. Is it possible to retire before 65? Yes, for most of us, it absolutely is. And to travel, of course, like, we're put on this earth, we're here on this planet, this beautiful earth, and to travel around and to explore some, additional cultures and some scenery is something that I haven't done as of yet, but I am very excited to do in the future. And Sylvie, to build your old age security. Yes, absolutely. Having that financial security in your older years is so important to have. And of course, using your working years to plan ahead and to really be building your RSP is so important, okay? And I'm going to talk about that a little bit later in our presentation, about how to actually leverage and supercharge your own RSPs so that you can potentially retire sooner, because you can get them performing even better. And then Peace is looking for financial freedom to travel and give your kids a better life. Yeah, I can absolutely relate to this as well. So the travel piece I haven't done yet, but it is a common goal for most investors. And of course, give your kids a better life. This is what it's all about, right? Is so that you want to provide more for your children and for your family than maybe what you started with in your own life. I can absolutely relate to that. And Leela, looking to travel, cash flow, and travel. So she definitely wants to travel, really emphasizing the travel for the goals in this room today, which is amazing. And of course, retirement. So when I see somebody's putting retirement as their goal, I expect that you want to retire with enough income that is funding that retirement so that you can really be going back to your why and, traveling, of course, and just doing the things that really make you feel good in life. So thank you guys for sharing. I love to hear about the gushy stuff. So let's jump into a little bit more now about what sets Legend Real Estate Trust apart from other investments that are currently in the market. So we target annual returns of 15 to 20%, which includes an 8% preferred return. So that is a cash flow payment that can be distributed quarterly. We've got some flexibility with cash flow, which I'll touch on a little bit further into our presentation. So with Legends Edge, our investors get to skip the mortgage hassle. So you can invest into real estate from without needing any sort of down payment, and you don't need any credit check. You don't need to go through a mortgage application, no hoops to jump through. It truly is just simple investing. Hassle-free investing is something that we offer. And we offer this from a completely passive and hands-free position as well. So our investors get to enjoy all the benefits of real estate investing without ever needing to deal with tenants or renovations or even finding a property, negotiating a property, buying a property, all of these things that can be very time-consuming and difficult. We take care of all the heavy lifting for our investors. And of course, one of the greatest benefits to participating in a REIT like Legend is that we are RSP eligible. So that means you can use your RRSP, RESP, TFSA, your LIRA, any Canadian registered account, you can self-direct and invest it into Legend Real Estate Trust. And what's most important about this is that you get to keep all of your tax shelter benefits, that you're not actually cashing out your registered funds. So I ask you this, if you have a registered account that is performing at less than 15 to 20% annually, let's talk. Let's see if Legend could be a potential fit that you might want to consider self-directing your RSPs into. Okay. And then Sylvie, you've got a question here. How about C lender, private ones? I'm not sure I understand the question. Can you clarify your question here about C lender? I think maybe you're asking if you could be a C lender. So I'll just give you a moment there. Self-direct meaning. Oh, self-direct. So to self-direct your registered funds, the way that works is that if you've got any like RSP here, we have partnered with Olympia Trust. So you open an Olympia Trust account, which is a custodial account. You would then transfer your RSP to Olympia Trust, and then they would invest it on your behalf into Legend Real Estate Trust. So you haven't cashed out your RSP, you're just self-directing it and taking control over where you place those funds. So you can use any Canadian registered account. So sorry, I just want to make sure that I don't miss your question here. Yes, and Mike, thank you for sharing that you've gone through the process already and you are set up with Legend. That's true. Mike King, you are a legend. And then Sylvie here, you mentioned Lira, etc., private lenders. Have you dealt with those? So I have dealt with many private lenders in my real estate investing career. So if you want to talk about private lending, then we can do that separately. We don't do private lending. My offer here with Legend Real Estate Trust, it is an equity position where you're buying shares, you're buying units within the company. So we are not necessarily looking to bring private lenders into Legend, but we could talk separately offline if that is the direction that you would prefer. So make sure you send me an email. So it's amanda@legendinvestments.ca, or you can just book in with my calendar link in the chat. Thank you, Sam, for putting that out there as well. Okay, so mitigating risk. So this is something that we take extremely seriously at Legend Real Estate Trust, that as the trustees at Legend, it is our top priority to produce great returns for our investors and then, of course, mitigate risk. So the first way that we are mitigating risk is by implementing our 20 years of real estate investing experience that Marty and I bring to the table. So for those of you who don't know, Marty Gordon is my husband, and he's also my business partner. So this is a family run and operated business between Marty and I as the trustees. So we each have 20 years experience in the real estate investing industry. So this means anything that we're looking at here, from market selection, property selection, running pro formas, running through negotiations, the acquisition process, getting the right team in place, managing property managers, overall investment management. We do all of this for you. And this is what we've done for the last 20 years. So I became a landlord when I was just a young age of 21 years old. So this is all I've really known in terms, or this has always been my primary career. I've always been a real estate investor and a landlord. So this is the value that we bring to the table and we share with all of our Legend investors. Another way that we mitigate risk is by entirely focusing on turnkey properties. So this means we're not implementing cash for keys. We're not doing any large scale renovations. We are starting our investments at market rents in newer buildings that are already tenanted and already cash flowing. So newer properties, they always have less maintenance costs. And if they're built in 2018 or newer in Ontario, there's no rent control. Now, Legend will invest all across Canada, and we're set up to do so. Our first acquisition is in Ontario, which this is where we've started our business, and this has been incredibly lucrative and profitable for us, but we will go out of province for the right deal. We also focus on a tenant profile that caters to providing quality housing for working class tenants are the tenants that we are looking for. So by providing, this type of product to this type of tenant, we create lower vacancy rates. And of course, this is going to reduce evictions as well. So we provide a great product and we're looking for a great tenant. They are our customer. And by focusing on the existing buildings, there's no development delays. So at this time, Legend is not focused on land development. We are strictly focused on those turnkey properties, as I mentioned. You as an investor can own a small piece of a growing portfolio. So of course, this mitigates risk even further and offers diversification within your investment. So as Legend grows, your investment is growing with us. So Legend investors do not invest into one particular property. You're investing at the fund level. So that means as soon as we add another acquisition into the fund, this further mitigates your risk and offers you further diversification without needing to add more money into your investment. And one of our commitments here is to complete one project at a time. Now, we want to execute all of our acquisitions with excellence and, of course, grow at a reasonable pace. So, our plans right now for Legend are to grow about 1 to 2 acquisitions per year, which is something that Marty and I feel very, very confident and comfortable to be able to do 1 to 2 acquisitions per year. I'm just going to pop over into the chat here and just make sure that I haven't missed anything here. Okay, so Ronald, when we transfer RSPs to Olympia, who will pay the 15 to 20% returns? Is it you or Olympia? So great question here. So it's Legend. So it's Legend who is producing the returns to 15 to 20%. These are our targeted returns. Olympia is just acting as a custodial account. So they're just holding onto your RSP for you. And that's what keeps those tax shelter benefits. And at Legend, you're actually buying units. And maybe it's helpful if I jump to my next slide. Click. How to invest. Here we go. So this slide will be helpful. So at Legend, this is how you invest, that you're actually buying trust units within Legend. So we're selling our units at their Class A units at $10 per unit. And the minimum investment is a $10,000 minimum commitment. Our targeted annual returns are 15 to 20%, which includes that 8% cash flow payment. Now, if you don't wish to receive your cash flow, you can participate in the DRIP program. So that's the dividend reinvestment program. So instead of receiving, say, your $800 in cash flow that year on a $10,000 investment, you can buy more shares with it and just reinvest your cash flow into the fund. So then that means you'd be buying an additional 80 shares instead of receiving your cash flow. And that continues to grow your investment. Entirely optional. You can also take your cash for cash flow. You can divide it 50-50, or you can change your mind later. So we've really made that flexible for investors. Now, using your RSP, TFSA, LIRA, etc., as I mentioned, is absolutely an option for you, and the investor suitability is for eligible or accredited investors. So we work with an exempt market dealer, an EMD. It's Equivesto, and they will go through the KYC forms with you to know your client and confirm your investor suitability. And we do have our offering memorandum that offers all of the details that outlines Legend's offering. So to answer your question here, Ronald, it is Legend who is producing the returns, and then it's Olympia that would then be holding your RSP on your behalf. It's Legend who is paying the annual returns to your Olympia account. And then Sylvie, okay, great. And then, wow, 21 years old. Yes, so I was a young landlord. I definitely had a lot of lessons learned from a very young age. But what you can imagine is that, we bought our first property at 21. we really started growing our brain into this investor mindset. We literally were a couple of teenagers who were getting started with these big dreams into real estate investing. So, that we've had a great deal of investing experience and knowledge that we, of course, bring to the table. And then Ronald, is it possible for you to organize our plans to have an in-person seminar to meet you and other attendees? Yes, I'm actually going to be at the Wealth Genius event this weekend. Perfect. So Ronald, are you a Wealth Genius member? So we are a vendor at the Wealth Genius event this weekend. So if you want to meet us in person, then yes, absolutely. We can meet in person. We'll have a booth there for the entire weekend. I'm teaching one of the breakout rooms on Friday afternoon, and then a full stage presentation as well. So no, you're not a member. So at this time, Ronald, I meet with our investors through Zoom calls. So you're welcome to book and encouraged to book a one-on-one Zoom call with me so that we can definitely connect and discuss the investment that is available for you. So right now we do it through Zoom call, or if you're going to participate at the Wealth Genius event, then we could meet in person. But we actually cater to investors all across the country. So we don't have a specific in-person seminar book just yet. It's likely maybe in 2025, we'll discuss doing something for our legend investors in person, but to be confirmed on that piece. Okay. The next piece here is understanding investor profits. So this is an example on a $10,000 investor, and I just want to walk through the math for you guys so you can understand how we've come to our targeted returns of the 15 to 20%. So if you are a $10,000 investor, this means you are going to actually purchase 1,000 units at $10 per unit. The first column here outlines your cash flow, and we target that 8% cash flow number. So this means you would get $800 annually in cash flow, and this is distributed quarterly for you. So you would get 4 payments of $200 or every 3 months. The middle column here is for equity growth. So our equity growth the targeted range is 7 to 12% annually. If we assume that we're able to achieve that 12% growth, this means your unit prices, or your share price that you bought for $10 a share, are now worth $11.20 per share. So consequently, your investor portfolio has now grown to 11,200 based on the 1,000 unit investment. So if we tally up your 1-year profits of your $800 in cash flow and your $1,200 in equity growth, this totals to $2,000 per year in profits. And then if we go times 5 years, this equals $10,000 in profits, and you could effectively double your money within a 5-year period if we're able to achieve that 20% annual return. Now, the way we produce the cash flow is it's very basic. All the income and then minus the expenses produces the cash flow. And then for the equity growth, the way we boost equity is by increasing rents at our building. The price of a commercial property is directly correlated to the income that it produces. And every month that we pay down the mortgage, we're actually growing the equity in the property as well. And a third way is by adding a second property, a third property, and so on, by doing more acquisitions. Overall boost the total equity in Legend Real Estate Trust overall for the fund. And this is what's going to increase your share value over time. So getting in now as one of our founding members is probably going to be the only time that we're selling units at $10 per unit. So it's just one of the benefits to get in on the ground floor. So I'm going to peek into the chat here because I think I've got a couple other questions. Here we go. Okay, so Ronald, yeah, let's connect one-on-one. Please go ahead and book in a Zoom call with me, and then we can speak directly. And then Peace is asking, how long has Legend been in operation? So Legend as a REIT was launched in January of this year. However, Marty and I have been real estate investors for 20 years now. So I'll share with you that we have always produced our targeted returns up until this point. However, our offering memorandum will review with you that past performance is not always an indication of future returns. So you want to read through the offering memorandum. So Legend is a little bit newer as we're moving into our first acquisition here. However, we are not new into real estate, but that extra benefit of coming in on the ground floor is buying in at that $10 per unit share price. And then Leela is asking, how long of a term for $10,000? So we're looking for commitment from our investors of 5 years. So we do understand that life happens, or life can happen between a 5-year period. So if you do need to leave early from the fund, you can. There's just some, parameters around some early redemptions. You need to give appropriate notice, and then there's some small redemption fees as well. So for example, if you're leaving in year 3, your redemption fee is 3%. It's a little more if it's earlier, it's a little less if it's a shorter period of time. But after the 5-year period, there's no more redemption fee. And you're welcome to, say to me, Amanda, it's been a slice. We're thrilled with our investment. We'll toast to profits. You can cash in your shares and away you go. Okay, looks like a few more chats here as well. I'll peek in on. Thank you. Okay, great. I'm caught up. So let's come back to our slides. So our flagship property here is 144 Lucan Avenue in Waterloo. We have this property firm under contract, and our target closing date is February 2025 with a purchase price of $21,500,000. This is a 60-unit apartment in Waterloo, Ontario, and 50% of the building is exempt from the Ontario rent increase guidelines because it's brand new. It was a 3-story building that has a 3-story addition put on top of it. The original 3 stories are fully renovated, and as I mentioned, the rest of it is brand new. Now, this is an absolutely gorgeous apartment building. All of the units have dishwashers, they have balconies, there's facial recognition technology to even come into the building, there's parking available, there's paid storage available, and a gym facility on site. So a very gorgeous building in an incredibly desirable area. Let's have a look here on a map. We are 4 minutes to the Grand River Hospital. We're 6 minutes to Wilfrid Laurier University. We're close to the University of Waterloo, to Kitchener Union Station, University Avenue Station, and 4 minutes to Google Waterloo. So I hate to say it, but I'm going to say it. Location, location, location. When we're looking at investing into real estate, you can always change the property, but you can't change the location. And this location is right in the heart of a gentrifying area that is quickly improving, but we can cater to education workers, healthcare workers, tech workers, and we're on a transit route. This is in an absolute great location from an investment perspective. And a reminder here that you can supercharge your RSPs. So again, you can self-direct any Canadian registered account, move it to an Olympia Trust account, self-direct it to an Olympia Trust account, and then invest those funds into Legend Real Estate Trust. So just, ask yourself, how well are your RSPs currently performing? If it's less than 15 to 20% for annual returns, then perhaps you would consider, if it makes sense, to redirect or self-direct, your RSPs into Legend. Here's our disclaimer here as well. So like all investments, this investment comes with risk as well. We do have an offering memorandum available and is definitely something that you'll need to review if you're considering coming into Legend. In terms of next steps, I've put a QR code up here on the screen if you want to book a call with me one-on-one. I would love the opportunity to connect with you, to meet you, and then talk a little bit more in depth about what Legend Real Estate Trust has to offer. If you haven't already, make sure that you download our investor deck. So this is a full investor presentation that outlines our Legend offering. And again, we can make that offering memorandum available for you. That is available on the Equivesto platform as well. So I just want to make sure that we've got our investor deck in the chat as well. So I think Sam is going to drop that link there too. If you need to book a call with me, then please go ahead and do that as well. The link is in the chat, or you can use the QR code if you're on a desktop. If you visit legendrealestatetrust.ca, this is obviously our website, but here you can find some more generic information about Legend. You can have a look at our past projects. You can look at some investor testimonials, learn more about our team and the people who are behind Legend. You can book a call with me through the website as well, sign up for future webinars, and you can also download our deck. So our website is really just a central hub for all of our information. Christina had dropped our socials into the chat there as well. So if you haven't already, make sure that you join the Legend Inner Circle. It's a free Facebook group and a great place where very experienced and new real estate investors have really come together and are just sharing about that experience and their investing journeys. It's also an opportunity for you to connect and interact with Marty and I directly and on a regular basis. So I'll pop into the chat one more time here and see, does anybody have any questions that they would like to review while we're here on a call together? I'll just have a look here into the chat for a few more minutes. If not, a reminder that this webinar has been recorded and we will send it out by email. For everybody who is a Wealth Genius member, I look forward to seeing you this weekend at the Expand event. The Legend team will definitely be there. But please, I would say if you're going to choose one of these items to focus on next, just book a call with me. Let's chat. And with that, I just want to thank everybody. Yes, Mike, looking forward to talking to you next week as well. I think we're booked for Tuesday, which will be great to catch up with you. But without further ado, thank you everybody for spending some time this afternoon with us, and we'll catch up with you later. Thank you. Bye-bye.